Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Illusion Fox Gaming. So today we're doing the level 78 Reaper quest, Thicker Than Blood. Drusilla seems relieved to see you walk through her door unscathed. Glad to see Orcus hasn't sunk his teeth into you yet. Don't go thinking he's given up on trying, though. Just a reminder. He's out there, savoring you from a distance. Can't resist checking in on his prize, just as he can't resist seeking out morsels to tide him over to his feast. The reports we received of a man pale as death skulking about the sands is proof of that. And then there's this matter of this blunted dagger. We don't know who sent it, but we do know what it means. It's a warning commonly used by the less savory elements in Ul'dah. A warning that the next will be delivered sharp and straight to our bellies. More fool them. They've no notion of what we face and lived. Thinking we'd soil our small clothes over empty threats. Let's hope it's nothing more than that, lass. Seeing as we need to follow up on those reports sooner than later. Anyone fancy a bit of fresh air? If we catch a whiff of Orcus' foul stench, all the better. Illusion, I want you to ask around near Blackbrush Station. I'll head to Stone's Throw. When you're done, meet me there and we'll share what we've dug up. Yeah, we can go do that. I recognize that self-assured stride, the mark of a woman ready to take on the world and then some. You must be the Orzian Reaper the boss sent word about. I'm almost disappointed to tell you nothing is amiss. The soldier in me would have loved to see a Reaper in action. I once fought in the Imperial Army, though you wouldn't think to look at me now. I served proudly under Lord Valens in my youth, until the day he orders us to use common folk as fodder in some pointless skirmish. I refused and was sentenced to death for my candor. Needless to say, I didn't keep that appointment. Compared to that evil, toothless threats and ghosts are no bother, but the less jaded are more excitable. One lass in particular has been jumping at shadows. She claims to have seen all manner of terrors, but I suspect she'd be startled by her own reflection. Still, if you want to lend an ear to her delusions, you can find her in Lost Hope. Hello, who are you? Oh, did Drusilla receive my missive? She sent someone to rid us of this terrible evil waiting in the wings? Truly she cares for us as if we really were her flesh and blood, which is more than I can say about my own. Not once have I longed to return to the life of comfort I left behind in Garlemald, and have Drusilla to thank for that. She isn't the reason I left home in the first place, of course. Had I not met my beloved, I'd likely still be feasting on lemon cakes in ignorance. In ignorance of love, of freedom, found the former Garlemald and the latter in Eorzea, as our new life blossomed into something beautiful. Not every day has been easy, not even most days, but Drusilla's watchful eye has kept us safe, and our freedom is worth any measure of hardship. Such terrible fear gripped my heart when my beloved told me of the pale man he spied on the sands. But now that the family's come to help, I can breathe a sigh of relief. I'm sure you wish to know precisely where to find that horrid creature, but I cannot help half so well as my beloved might. Seek him in the southeast and pray he put an end to this nightmare. We can do that. But when it said sands, I was thinking of the arena back in Ul'dah. Though defiled mists the hunter doth now tread, tracking the scent of quarry others dread, and darkest night cry for a keeper, lo, be by your side she walks the Reaper. Apologies for the effusive display, friend. I'm a poet, you see, and cannot resist putting into words the flood of emotions that can accompany such a striking figure as yours. Oh, that's a sight. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my savior, my godsend. Would that I could have aided you, but alas, a poet's pen is of little use in battle. Unless, of course, that battle involves not swords and scythes, but words. Just ask the sire, my beloved, who is even now licking the wounds dealt by the invective verse I composed after he had the gall to forbid our union. A masterwork of scathing metaphor and subtle remonstration. Alas, for all their pretensions, nobles are anything but subtle in their rage. We are forced to flee, to abandon our homes with only our love for sustenance. Nevertheless, I regret not a single moment of our life in exile. In Eorzea, we found an unexpected treasure: freedom. Freedom of mind and freedom of heart. Ah, but I digress. Surely you did not seek me out simply to save my life and leave with a nod and smile. Did you wish to commission a poem? The Pale Man? I encountered almost wandering these arid wastes in search of inspiration. I felt the gaze of some terrible presence upon my back, and when I turned to meet it, he was standing there, grinning like a butcher in a bullpen. He wore robes much too thick for these scorched sands, and his skin looked as if it had never been kissed by the blazing sun. Worst of all, his eyes were as two bottomless pools of blood. I feared my end had come, but then he vanished as quickly as he had appeared. Perhaps I've been reckless. Recent incidents make it clear that the cost of inspiration is higher than I'm willing to pay. I shall return to my beloved for both my safety and hers. Thank you again, my savior. That was worthwhile. There you are, and... another one of his cursed minions. Well, I suppose we can take comfort in the fact that none of the family came to harm, yourself included. Well done. Speaking of which, what do you think of this family you've been thrust into? Speak freely. I haven't lived this long by taking offense at opinions I don't want to hear. Ah, seen some odd families then, I reckon. I'd like to think you were one of a kind, though. Collection of cast-offs unfit to live under the Empire's boot. Yours truly, indeed, included. Much as some enlightened types might tell you otherwise, people like to have a say in the life they lead. That's what separates us from those bugs over there. Born queens, workers, drones, bred into roles ingrained so deeply they wouldn't know how to live otherwise. For the glory and prosperity of the hive. But we've got it in us to be different. Might be born into farming, soldiering, or politicking, but we can choose to walk a different path whenever the fancy should strike. Taint in our nature to accept our lot without question? No, we have to believe in something. Put our faith in it. Only then will we deign to march in step. And indeed, faith of a savage stripe is one way to get us dancing to the same tune. Others might be compelled through faith in logic or law intangible and invisible, yet cause enough for killing and conquering if it suits the queen. The invaders have sullied our birthright for 8 centuries. No longer. We march for Locus Amanus. The few righteous words, his radiant Solus Zos Galvus whipped the hive into a frenzy. Once that fire is burning, the passion of the masses can't soon be quelled. What was once a wish for home became a holy mission to spread enlightenment. Enlightenment which would not suffer such beliefs as the beastmen held. Countless scorers rendered up their lives on the altar of empire, until an entire continent was united under a single Magitech fist. For those who still dreamed the dream of unity, a deed worthy of song, yet some woke to see it for the tyranny it was, my grandfather Rolus included. The talents of the Reapers are passed down through bloodlines. Rolus was the best of us, the most accomplished and feared in the Order's long history. The duty of the Reapers, our role in the hive, if you will, was to deliver our countrymen from corrupt and power-hungry tyrants. When Garlemald found religion and conquest, its appetite grew to be insatiable. My grandfather pondered this conundrum for many sleepless nights, and came to a decision. He would relieve Solus Zos Galvus of his life. "20 years ago, he slipped into the deepest chambers of the Imperial Palace, silent as a shadow, until he could hear the Emperor's beating heart. Yet when Rolus returned to me, Solus was alive and well. My grandfather, on the other hand, had a skittishness to his step, and his black hair had turned a pale white. He said naught of his encounter with an emperor, save that most powerful man Garlemald was no man at all. Shamed in his defeat, my grandfather sought greater power. Bit by bit, he gave more of himself over to the void sent behind his avatar. Orcus struck when Rolus was weakest, taking his flesh and soul in one fell swoop. When he was finished, not a mote of my grandfather remained in that body. There was only Orcus. The fiend flew into a rapturous frenzy, and my family were his first victims. I remember the chill of his teeth sinking into my flesh, not until they reached my very essence. How I'm sitting here before you then? Oh, Orcus gorged on a soul that night, but it wasn't mine. Not exactly. It was my avatar that filled his belly. It seems that was all he could stomach. Some might consider that a lucky twist of fate, but I had little time to ponder my fortune. Fled as soon as I was able. His radiance never looked kindly on those trying to end his life, or their families. I wandered about for years until I settled here and started seeking out others like me. Others who had awoken from the Empire's dream. Lemures is what we call the spirits of the dead in the Garlean tongue. A fitting moniker if there ever was one. Waking up from a long sleep ain't unlike climbing out of the grave. I can attest to that. Son of a bleedin', remind me not to give such long-winded speeches when the sand is blowing in my face. I'm heading back for some ale. See you at headquarters. Okay. Well, if it ain't illusion. Yes, yes, it is. It is I. Welcome back, boss. How's the family? Shaken, but unharmed aside from some tousled hair and mangled verse. Orcs left one of his minions behind as a gift, but Illusion made quick work of it. I always said she was a keeper. You have an eye for the fierce of heart. I wager she could slay orcs all on her own, not that we'd let her take all the glory. Of course we wouldn't. We'll all be there when Orcus tries to take his prize. I don't think we'll be waiting long either. Orcus said he'd strike when Illusion was ripe with fear and hatred and despair. Seasonings he's loath to forego. I have an inkling how he might try to draw out those emotions and finish off a half-eaten meal besides. Right you are, Drusilla. How many nights did you mourn your lost avatar? The wellspring of your power, I must say, was quite the dish. I think not. Move so much as a finger and her head will hit the floor. We fought nastier than you. Oh, that's it. That fire. I want to see it burn. I want to see it rage. I want to see the hatred seep into the depths of your soul. Shall I make this Drusilla's final breath, or this one? It's so very hard to choose. I was right not to give in to my baser instincts, to allow the thought of your taste to simmer in my mind as you and Drusilla formed a bond. A kinship, even. Born from an understanding of her inconsequential ideals, that you may better appreciate the bitter loss. But perhaps I should wait a little while longer, to let the flavor of your hatred mature and the tang of your malice ripen. I can make use of Drusilla yet, revel in her screams, exult in her misery. Ah, how splendid it will be. All the while, my prized piglet growing fat with loathing and succulent with terror. Patience rewards the dutiful gourmand. After all, when your tantalizing flavor has fully matured, I shall return and I shall reap my harvest. God's damn void-sent bastard, soulless piece of shite. Aye, aye, that's the spirit. Right, we need a plan. First things first, find out where Orcus is hiding. The rest of the family should be able to help with that. In the meantime, you need to prepare. I know you're good, but we can't leave the boss's life to chance. Sharpen your skills and your scythe, then sharpen them once more. The boss can do naught against Orcus without her avatar. That means you'll have to do the heavy lifting. Of course, I'll do what I can to afford you an advantage. You can count on that for Drusilla. And that was the level 78 quest, Thicker Than Blood. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this little video. And you'll come back again some another time for another video here on YouTube, or maybe one of our many live streams over on Twitch, here at the same channel name. Till next time, have a wonderful rest of your evening.